Hello and welcome to NVC, IGN's Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Casey DeFreitas, and today I am joined by Emeka Nwosu.
Hello.
Please correct me.
No, that was good enough.
It was good enough?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm bad with last names. As everyone who listens and watches this know. Per Schneider.
It's von Schneiderhofen. No, it's okay. Thank you very much.
And Tom Marks.
Hello.
Did I say that?
It's an easy one.
Yeah, good one.
All right. Well, hello. Thank you so much for listening. Today, like we mentioned last week, we have Emeka on to talk about his Smashbox controller that he uses with Smash. And he also went to EVO, so he'll be telling us all about that. We'll also be talking about some Breath of the Wild lookalikes that, are they really a copy or not? And then also a whole bunch of other stuff, so please stick around, because we're also going to be talking about all of the Pokemon news that came out.
Oh, no.
I know, what a surprise.
Run away!
No. We'll have timestamps, so if you're one of those people who hate Pokemon and fun, you can look at those and skip it. But hey.
This is my first time on the show. Just so you know, I am pro Pokemon, so
Okay.
I'm not going to be like
All
Brian and complain and be like,
Good.
can we talk about pizza or something?
No, we're all
Yeah.
all pro Pokemon. We're just a little scared by that universe of edible things and cream-based life forms.
Speak for yourself.
I'm also on team eating Pokemon. So
I'm into it. All right, so let's start. So tell us about EVO. So what did you play?
I played Tekken.
Okay.
That's the game I
How'd
played.
it go?
So I made it out of round one of pools. And I think I finished just out of top 256. So I got tied for 257. And that's out of 1,799 entrants for Tekken.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's so like
And Emeka, are you a pro player or where do you work?
I am not a pro player. I just put in a lot of time. So as
Emeka works at IGN.
Yeah.
Just kidding, obviously.
I mean, if you want to pay me to no, but like as a competitor, I'm always thinking about what I did wrong and what I need to do to improve. So I just naturally have a hard time balancing like, oh, I did very well, I should be happy about myself, and oh, I have this very large Google Doc of things I need to study and work on and change, and I'm just thinking about that and everyone who beat me. So,
Emeka's Google Docs are a thing of beauty and incredibly impressive. We have Serial Club here at IGN, which Emeka runs, and his docs are just incredible, and I can't wait to publish them
Like
someday.
breakfast cereal.
Yeah.
Like not, yes.
Breakfast cereal. Breakfast Club
yeah.
for delinquents.
So that's your full-time job. You work in the ad ops department at IGN.
Yeah.
And so spreadsheets, you love spreadsheets.
No, I code actually. I don't actually use any. I don't actually use any
That's right.
spreadsheets
Yeah, you
at
do
all.
all these cool custom
Yeah,
solutions.
yeah. I will like download spreadsheets and then just turn them into dashboards because they're easier to work with and they're more visually appealing.
Gotcha.
Spreadsheets now.
But now you created a spreadsheet with your performance. Did you watch your performance afterwards?
No, I actually didn't play on stream at all. I think one person I beat, he had his friends recording the match.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I keep refreshing YouTube to see if they actually put that up because I just I kind of like did this mean thing where I had this read on him and I was in a bad mood. So no. I was just like, when I'm in loser's bracket, I just feel like I'm better than everyone. So I play with more anger.
Wow.
I'm really cold when I'm in tournament. So I had this read on him and it closed out the round. Like I knew exactly what he did. I punished him for it. And I just gave him this look just like, and then like this disgusted look. And I just want to see myself do that.
Wow.
Thank you for not giving me that look when we were playing Smash yesterday.
No.
I appreciate it.
No. See, that was learning time, not tournament time. That's
Okay.
completely different.
So how come you didn't play Smash at EVO?
I just don't play that game competitively. I don't put in the time
Okay.
like everyone else does. I like the game. I just like other games better. And Tekken is so serious.
This is a Nintendo podcast.
Sorry. Well, there was Tekken on Game Boy Advance, okay? So
Oh,
this
wow.
technically...
That counts.
Yeah, this counts.
Well, there's Pokken.
Yeah, I don't play that either. I've never touched that game. No, but Tekken is like just so good and it requires so much work that it's hard to play another fighting game because there's just so much in that one and you have to dedicate so much time into it. It's hard to fit anything else. So
Gotcha.
I really just play Smash casually with everyone here.
That explains the controller that you only played casually.
Yeah.
He says casually. He plays. So take your best casual group of friends that think they're really good at Smash and they're the ones who always win at all of the parties and all of the get-togethers. He's a step above that.
Yeah. because I play competitively and I play with that mindset, not, ooh, I like Warlock Punch and I'm just going to do it 20 times until it lands once. I remember that.
I don't appreciate you looking at me when you're saying that. Also, I believe I got a kill with it.
Yes, and how many times did you get punished for it?
Like a lot, but I remember the kill.
Yeah.
So explain this weird box.
Yeah, so I guess I'll hold it up.
So if you're watching the video version, you can see it.
Yeah,
but if not, describe it for people who are just listening.
Okay, so it is called the Smash Box. It is basically like, okay, so you have we're going to have to take a couple steps to get to here.
Okay.
So you have an arcade stick.
Yes.
It's, like stick, 8 buttons. You've all seen it.
What you see in an arcade machine.
Yes. Yeah. So then there's this company Hitbox, which made the Hitbox, which replaces the stick with 4 directional buttons. You go left, down, right with your ring, middle, and index finger, and then you go up with your thumb.
What?
And it sounds weird, but it gives you a significant advantage compared to other controllers. I'm actually switching from arcade stick to a Hitbox for Tekken. So they made that. There's a bit of controversy about whether or not those should be legal. That's a whole.
Are they tournament legal right now?
Yeah, they're tournament legal. I thought it was going to be banned when they first came out in around 2012, but no one has said anything. So now it's time. I'm like, well, I guess I have to use the good thing because no one's doing anything about it.
And to clarify, the reason that there's controversy is because you can go from and I don't know this for sure, so correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you can go from left to right in an instant because there's buttons, whereas a stick there's a physical movement that has to be made. Yeah,
there's 0 travel time between all directions, and then there's also this thing. I'm gonna get a little nerdy here, but it's called
Please do.
Simultaneous opposite direction cleaning.
Okay.
SODC. Which is basically what it does when you hit 2 opposite directions, left and right at the same time. It turns it into a neutral input. So with certain weird inputs in Tekken, for example, you basically get shortcuts to certain things that would be more difficult on an arcade stick.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense.
And okay, but so I get the directions. When I look at this weird thing,
yeah,
there are way more buttons than on any other device. What is all that?
No, it's actually more or less the same amount of buttons.
Really? Show me again.
Okay. So I'm trying to make sure this is still.
So the red thing is the directional buttons.
Okay. So red is directional. I'm trying to get it so the camera can see as well, and myself. So this is kind of hard. But so the red is directional, right? This is.
I'm just doing a buffer for the microphone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is this is BA, YX, LR. These 2 buttons, I have no idea what they do. I don't actually use them.
Okay.
C stick, Z button. Then this is where things get crazy. This is the tilt button, which modifies the directional inputs. So you get a half tilt instead of a full push.
Oh, weird.
And then in addition to that, the D-pad can be switched between a regular D-pad input and these X and Y modifiers.
Wow.
So this is X1, Y1, X2, Y2.
Wow.
So
all right.
So now you know how to use a Smash Box.
No, it's hard to, I would really need to do an actual demonstration, but those modifiers, the X1 modifier, basically, it gives me it gives me an X-axis tilt that's so slight that I can walk forward and still do a neutral B.
Wow.
In Smash.
Okay.
I still get forward tilt, but my specials will be neutral specials. The Y modifier, the Y1, it's an up tilt. It's a tilt on the Y-axis that's so slight that I can do up tilts without getting an actual jump. So I actually don't have to turn on tap jump with this. And then I can also do down tilts on platforms without falling through the platform.
Okay.
So I can hold the Y1 modifier and just mash down and it'll never fall through. But if I hit an attack button, then it'll do a down tilt.
So, Emeka, does this screw you up? I mean, like, if you get used to these controls and then you're at your friend's house and they hand you a sideways Joy-Con, what happens?
I just don't play.
Okay, all right. But
like-
do you get so used to it that this is how you have to play, or can you still switch?
I can still switch
Yeah,
because I still use regular controllers every now and then. It's just that, like, I used to play Smash pretty seriously. Then I switched to, like, regular fighting games, and I was playing on arcade stick. Then when I wanted to go back to Smash, I was like, oh, well, my thumbs aren't what they used to be. So I wanted something else, and this just looked so interesting, and I wanted to really just try it out and really just show it off to, like, show people, like, hey, look at this new thing. Look what you can do with it. This is the future of, I think it's the future. Like this, the hitbox. They have a new controller that's even way cheaper than both of these. That's a whole nother thing.
Even way cheaper. How much is this thing?
This is, no. I mean, like, cheaper in terms of good.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
This is $200.
Okay. There's your catch.
Yeah.
It's really nicely made, though. It looks cool.
The catch also, I imagine, is like, I don't think I would ever have the patience to put in the time to just relearn how to ride a bike to use one of those things, And obviously, I'm not a guy who's going to tournaments and competing and playing that much, so I'm not the audience for it anyway. But, like, man, it must take some rewiring of your brain to figure out, like, okay, I'm on a platform and want to use a down tilt, so I have to use a completely different button now.
But isn't it worth being able to beat all of your friends?
Yeah. Like,
That's priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah, priceless.
I mean, like, I had played on arcade stick, so my right hand was already fine. I actually, when I decided to switch, I spent about, like, a month and a half just like playing music games with my left hand just to get my muscles, like, warmed up and used to hitting buttons, because I'm used to just doing this.
That's a good tip.
this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually did that before I played it, before I started using it, and I think it took me about, like, a month, maybe 6 weeks, before I felt like I was at about the same level using that as I was GameCube controller.
Nice.
Man. Well, thank you for explaining all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, Smash Ultimate was also at EVO. Can you tell us a little bit about the finals?
Yeah, I actually have the entire top 8. So yeah, 7th place was Zachary with Wolf. He's from Japan. Also tied for 7th was Light with using Fox. Tied for 5th was Raito using Duck Hunt. Which
wow.
I swear every Evo top 8, there's one weird character that sneaks in because no one knows the matchup. So yeah, he got there with Duck Hunt Dog. Then Proto Banham with Lucina. He was like,
who you use?
Yeah, that's my main. So I was rooting for him. Samsora with Peach, Gluttony with Wario, Tweak with Pokemon Trainer, and then MK Leo with Joker, who came back from losers bracket. He actually got sent to losers really early on.
Oh, wow.
So if you understand, like, a double elimination tournament, the earlier you get sent to losers, you have to play significantly more games. You basically have to play twice as many games for each step you go.
Yeah, to get out of purgatory.
Yeah. So the fact that he was sent to losers so early, he played a lot more than Tweak, who went straight to winners finals. So yeah, he started top 8 in losers, didn't lose a game until he got to Tweak. He was down 2-0 against Tweak. I think it was like game 4 where Tweak was, like, very close at winning the whole thing and messed up. And then MK Leo, he reversed 3-0'd him, reset the bracket, which sent Tweak to losers. Then he beat him 3 straight times again. And yeah, it was.
So he went 6-0
That's cool.
to close it out?
Yeah.
So that top 8 has no repeating character in it? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game is surprisingly well balanced. Well, I mean, even in Smash 4, everyone complained about Bayonetta and who was the top character before that? Diddy Kong, Sheik. Everyone always complains about whatever character is the top, but in Smash, like, there's every top 8 is always, like, 8 different characters.
That's
like,
so
you
cool,
rarely
man.
see any repeats.
And Joker already in there is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, recent tier lists I've put Joker at the top. I haven't been following the scene that in depth, but, like, even for me who barely pays attention to it, like, even I knew Joker was, like, the one to beat.
Okay. Very cool.
I'm a scrub. That's all I'm saying.
We're getting. You're in training now. You're
Yeah,
getting good.
I'm
You're
in
getting
training.
good. You already made some adjustments.
Yeah.
Wait till they release a Monster Hunter cat into that game, then it's
Oh,
all
man.
over.
It
What
is
is that
all
thing
over.
called?
A Palico.
Okay, the
I explained what a Palico was on Unlocked this week.
Okay.
You want to watch that?
you go.
Anyway,
Yeah, if you're really dying.
Yes. It's only 30 minutes of your time.
so thank you so much for talking about Evo and Smash and all of that stuff. Also coming out this week, we found out that Decay of Locust, which looks kind of similar to Breath of the Wild, got a release date. We also learned that Genshin Impact is coming to PS4. And I wanted to bring up the topic of these Breath of the Wild lookalikes and other lookalike games that are becoming more prevalent, and they're sparking some outrage. Is it okay? First of all, let's talk about Decay of Locust. So Decay of Locust
Is it, by the way, is it like the Greek place like Logos or something? Or is it the actual Logos decaying? Don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I played the game.
I played too much Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Unfortunately, and also
Malak.
Ubisoft's Gods and Monsters like falls into that category as well.
Yeah. They're going all Greek.
Yeah, it's Greek, but people have said it looks kind of similar to Breath of the Wild.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, to some degree, yes. Like I watched some of the gameplay videos, and I was like, okay, just because it's an open world game that's cell shaded, it doesn't mean it's Breath of the Wild. But then I saw some areas where it was like, like the ruins in an open field, and I was like, no, I've literally been there in Breath of the Wild.
So, yeah, but also, I guess I feel like we have to play it. So something like Decay of Locust, a lot of commenters on our news article, because our news article did draw comparisons to Breath of the Wild, are complaining that it's a copycat. I was able to, so here's the premise of Decay of Locust. You play an elf-looking lady whose village gets burned down in the very first scene, and then she develops a relationship with a mystical white elk. And then it becomes an action RPG where you have a companion of this elk, and you are leading this elk through ruins that have now been populated by evil tree people and other monsters. And the combat, I did get to play it at E3. Unfortunately, I didn't get to ask any questions to anyone who knew anything, but during my 20 minutes with hands-on, it plays entirely different to Breath of the Wild. The combat is incredibly difficult and a lot more heavy feeling. I want to make the Souls comparison, but it's not quite the same from Souls, but it is definitely more heavy and meaningful than how combat feels in Breath of the Wild.
So it's not a clone. It's
It is
clearly
not.
a different game. And like obviously that has happened a lot of times. Like I think people are a little bit harsher on games that look like Breath of the Wild because it's still so new. Breath of the Wild borrows a lot from Japanese anime, of course, right? Like the look and the cell shading and all of that. But there are a lot of games that come out nowadays that look like another game from 10 years ago or 5 years ago. There are lots of pixel art games that look like Link to the Past, for example, or that, are rooted in the look of a Mario game or something like that, where people, I think, are a little bit more willing to say, hey, it's been out a long time. There's so many games that look like it, but the gameplay is different. So hopefully people do see that this isn't just a clone.
Yeah, and I did find a quote from the developers, Amplify Creations, and they said that they started with a darker and grittier look, but after experimenting and planning more, they ended up going for the more vibrant, stylized look because it conveys the changing mood better. So I think that kind of tells a little bit too. And they said they were also inspired by European folklore and Tolkien. So
Okay.
I think,
Zelda.
well,
Breath of the Wild.
I think, the cell shading does look pretty similar.
I think
in
it's
Decay
that
of Locust.
combination of the grass, and we'll get to the next
Yeah.
game in a second. It's a combination of that green grass, which looks a lot like Wind Waker too, right? And then the overgrown ruins and all of that. If like the green was a shade different, or they're like red elements and flowers or something, it would look so different. But
Yeah.
they,
Yeah,
it's Breath
just
of the Wild.
visually close, yeah.
It's Breath of the Wild, but the flowers are red.
Yeah.
No, it's so different.
But the game's not.
Yeah.
And man, another thing with Decay of Locust is you have a bow and you can pick up swords from enemies, but there's some interesting, more in-depth RPG mechanics than say in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to play that much more, but from what I played, it seems like it would be it's definitely a different experience with different gameplay. It's definitely not a direct copy at all Maybe drew some inspiration from the look of it, but
What about
it's a different game.
What about Gods and Monsters?
I haven't played it.
Okay, yeah, we've only seen obviously the trailer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ubisoft obviously loves Nintendo, right? They've worked closely together with them, and like the trailer shown at E3. Do you remember seeing that one? Like it's like set in a Greek world, and
No, I don't.
yeah, it looked a lot like Breath of the Wild as well. But you know, knowing Ubisoft, the game's probably going to play very differently.
Yeah, I'm just bringing up some screenshots to show. I mean,
Yeah, that's
Kinda-
Zelda.
Yep. But let's see what the actual gameplay is. I heard it is like Assassin's Creed, which, you know, Breath of the Wild got a little closer to, right? Like
Yeah,
there were
it
elements
absolutely did.
in Breath of the Wild that were rooted and done first in Assassin's Creed, or the Ubi tower climbing genre, you know, where you unlock an area on your map by climbing a tower. It's the same in Breath of the Wild.
Except in Gods and Monsters, it's more about defeating big monsters, which
Yep.
I am super,
So maybe it's
super for. And
Maybe it's like The Witcher
yeah, maybe it's more
or like
that.
the Monster Hunter.
We'll have to play.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm looking forward to both of those games, as well as this third one I want to talk about that does have more similarities to Breath of the Wild than maybe these other two. And this is called Genshin Impact. And Genshin Impact was revealed for the PS4 during the China Joy conference. We don't know if it's coming out over here, but they do have a website in English
I
with.
hope it does.
I really hope it does. I think Genshin Impact looks really cool. It's basically take Breath of the Wild, but make it anime. Like even more
Like
anime.
even more.
It was way too. I watched the trailer. It was way too anime for me. Like,
Really? I think it looks great.
I think it looks really good.
But the notable story, so China Joy, obviously China's biggest gaming expo, massive expo out there, has been going for a couple of years. But this game made somebody so mad they broke their PS4.
And there were a ton of people who were taking pictures of them like holding up their Switches with Breath of the Wild playing, just flipping off the booth at the China Joy place because they
Yeah.
were so mad about the like
I mean,
copying.
that's passion.
Yeah.
in thought, like to break a PS4, you have to. That's not an immediate reaction. Like I'm
gotta
mad. I'm just
bring
gonna
it.
throw this water. That's like
I brought my PS4. Oh, now I'm angry. It's also not good for you, and I
Yeah,
don't think
no.
it taught the developer anything. But like,
But
so
you have to admit that there were headlines like we wrote about it and Kotaku wrote about
Yeah.
it with an angle of like a fan got so mad at this clone that they broke a PS4, which is kind of why that protest works.
So now it's obviously there have been, if you check the App Store, the Apple App Store, there have been a lot of Chinese developed games that directly copy Nintendo franchises. This has happened, you know, dozens and dozens of times. Most recently with a Pokemon game, with better animations.
Well, they
than
took
the original
those
Pokemon
animations
game.
from Pokken Tournament, which
Oh, I
is
see.
totally different from.
Well,
yeah.
but a clear ripoff. So I
Yes,
was expecting
absolutely.
something like that, where it was a clear copy, and then I watched the gameplay trailer, and like it has some elements from like Borderlands with like it has combo attacks where you see the damages being displayed as numbers on the characters. So and then it had a scene where like a dragon attacks a town. Like it's not a ripoff. There's
it-
definitely something else going on with
And it
this
also
game.
looks like you can play as different characters that all battle differently as well. So it seems to have different RPG characteristics. But it does, I mean, the
It
world,
looks like it.
It looks very similar. If you look at the grass, you look at the world, you look at some of the enemies. And I know Tom pointed this out to me before. They even have enemies that kind of resemble the Guardians.
Yeah.
They have enemies that resemble Guardians. They have enemies that resemble Bokoblins. They have the UI with
Yeah.
selecting weapons that looks extremely similar. They have the bow charging animation that looks extremely similar. The Guardian laser shot looks extremely similar. I would say
It's not a coincidence.
No,
like no,
it's
very
somebody
hard- it's
played
very
Breath
hard
of
to
the Wild.
defend.
yeah, it's very hard to defend. And Per, you said it's not a ripoff. I would say it's not a ripoff, but it is ripping off Zelda.
It's
right?
looking-
Like, it's not just ripping off Zelda, but it definitely is very clearly looking at that game and taking things.
Yeah,
and then doing other things too.
So I got more like Musou vibes from the combat. It was like combat with big hordes of enemies and lots of like just, you know, damage going on in combos.
Really stylistic.
And it's not it's like the style looks like Breath of the Wild. The gameplay looks very different. There's no climbing.
Yeah.
It doesn't look
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's an exploration game the same way that Breath of the Wild is.
Which is why it's
Which
not-
is also very difficult to do, right?
It's
Breath of the Wild is a tough game to develop.
Right, and it's definitely why like it's this funny, weird gray area of
Yeah.
it is copying Zelda, but it is not a copy of Zelda.
Yep.
Right, like that. It's not all or nothing here. It's
Yeah.
like there's gray.
It looks like it.
Well, where do you draw the line? Because would you
That's the
say,
question.
like, I mean, granted, these are made by the same company, but would you say Tekken and Soul Calibur are copies of each other?
Right.
Because they're both fighting games where two characters move in a 3D space?
And that
Like-
was
Gosh.
and to your point, that was also
Sorry, neither was on Nintendo. Oh, Soul Calibur
no,
2.
no,
Soul
no,
Calibur
no,
2.
no, you're
No,
fine.
great. To your point, there's a similar thing happened right back when during the great MOBA wars of like 2012 and 2011 of like you had League of Legends and you had Dota 2 and you had Heroes of New Earth and you had all these different MOBAs, and every time after League of Legends became the most popular MOBA, anytime anyone announced a new one, it was, oh, this is a League clone. You're just copying.
Yeah.
it.
Same
And
thing with Fortnite.
yeah, and even if they were doing something different or even if they were doing something unique, they just say it is. And like you're right. It's this idea of like, where do you draw the line with similarities and especially similarities within a genre?
Yeah. I mean, there are obviously a ton of examples outside of these titles. Like I was expecting both of these games to be closer to what Breath of the Wild is gameplay wise, but it's very difficult to pull that off. That's a pretty amazingly constructed game world.
Yeah.
And a difficult game to test as well, make sure that it's not buggy. But there are clearly other games. Like if you just look at you look on the Switch, you've got games like Axiom Verge that look a lot like Metroid, right? Is that okay? You've got Fast RMX, which looks exactly like an F-Zero would today. You certainly have Wargroove, which is Advance Wars, but at least they changed the tile set to be medieval, right? But the game is really rooted in it. So
Yeah, Wargroove is arguably more shameless than
Yeah.
this, right? In that it's taking style and mechanics and adding upon it.
And part of the title. More.
Yeah, even that.
Uh-huh.
But the difference is that there hasn't been an Advance Wars game in a decade or whatever, and Breath of the Wild is still so fresh in people's memories to the point where a lot of people are still playing it.
That's it.
Yeah.
So do you think people wouldn't react as negatively if there was a Breath of the Wild clone that had a completely different art style, completely different characters, but you're climbing things in the world and you're fighting big monsters and you're unlocking these temples and stuff? Do you think people would be more open to it? Is it that when it's the look people react most negatively?
I think it's more difficult to have a negative knee-jerk reaction when when you look at screenshots and it doesn't look totally similar.
Yeah.
I think if these games had a different art style, I don't think people would draw that comparison. Whereas if you had a game that had very obvious gameplay mechanics that were exactly the same, someone who played it early would write those comparisons, and
Yeah.
that's how they would find out instead.
Yeah, and also it's those visuals are the only thing people have until they get to play the game, right? You know, once you play this, it'll probably be very clear that it's not just a Breath of the Wild copy straight up, but all we have right now are screenshots
Yeah.
and a gameplay trailer and like cell phone recordings from China Joy the China Joy like their booth at China Joy, right? So like these are the only tools we have to have these conversations with, and so it's so easy to just be like, yeah, this looks like this,
Yeah.
you know, and we don't really have the tools to say, oh well, I played it and it's not like that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. There, certainly when Ocarina of Time came out, there was this time period where we said, all right, somebody nailed a 3D action adventure game. Everybody's going to copy it. There'll be all these games that look like it. That didn't actually happen because it's so difficult to make games like that. You had a couple of titles that were similar, and then obviously the genre evolved a bit more with, your Assassin's Creeds and those titles, Prince of Persia before that. But it's kind of funny when games now start with the art style. Like that's almost seems backwards,
Yes.
It's like you're drawing a comparison to the art style. I don't know. I love Breath of the Wild. If somebody were able to do a game like it, I would actually be happy and not mad.
Yeah.
But if somebody is doing a game that looks a little bit like it,
Somebody's doing a game like it that looks like it, and it's called Breath of the Wild 2, and Nintendo's making it.
they are making that game. You're right. Yeah.
Or whatever it's going to be called, because I guess it technically doesn't have a title yet.
Yeah. But look, are you cool with Bloodstained looking like Castlevania?
No,
Yes.
I'm mad about it.
Yes, because it's the original creator, right? Like there are all these nuances to games that look like others, but there are clear ripoffs out there too.
I think I'm more okay with them when it's very obvious that they made their own assets and everything from scratch. It's when people are pulling animations and assets from other games and just straight up actually ripping them. And that's when I have the biggest problem.
And that's the hilarious thing about this. It's so funny to me that this game drew so much ire because there are dozens and dozens of examples of Chinese companies just bootlegging wholesale Overwatch and Paladins and all of these other games, Hearthstone, like so many games just get torn apart and repackaged in Chinese, like as like little mobile apps in China and things like that. And yet this one game like just became this lightning rod for anger just because of Breath of the Wild.
People love Zelda.
I know, yeah.
There's this
That's really what it
incredible
comes down to.
passion worldwide for this franchise and this title. Deservedly so.
And
It's
I
my
think
number one.
I think this might be good for Decay of
You want to
Locust.
bring this up?
What?
Emeka doesn't like Breath of the Wild.
I hate Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, which is why today is Ultimate's final time on NVC.
It comes up in ad-offs at least 3 times a week where I have to trash Breath of the Wild just to remind everyone how much I hate that
Can
game.
you finish it so that you can have an honest discussion?
They took away my favorite thing, which is dungeons.
There's
No, those shrines are
No,
not
they're
dungeons.
they're a couple big walking dungeons.
No, those ones are whack. Those ones are not. Those ones are not as good as any dungeon in any other Zelda game.
That's true. No. It's they're
Well, like
better
the later
than some.
ones. The later ones.
But the best temples are better than the beasts for sure.
yeah,
In
temples
other
are better than the
games.
beasts. Those were so weak,
agree.
and then they added an open world, which I don't care about.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh, I'm just gonna run through this open field,
So-
and there's a moblin over there. Oh, well, I'm just gonna run past him because who cares?
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
See, I played this game that had lots of really cool things to discover.
I just went straight. I just do shrine, killed Ganon, and then I was like, okay.
Wait, you did beat the game.
Yeah, I beat the game.
Oh, okay,
it was
you
a
did,
waste of
okay.
40-something hours, but at least I've had more fun arguing about it than actually playing it.
Terrible.
Well, at least you got some enjoyment out of it.
Look.
So based on this, maybe Decay of Locust will be a better Zelda game for you.
Yeah.
If it's Breath of the Wild, but they put dungeons in it, I'll buy it.
I don't think they'll do that. But thank you for your opinion, however wrong.
Should I
Yeah,
walk
no,
out
we
now?
appreciate it.
Well, I think maybe this ire that these games have drawn will maybe be good for it because maybe all press is good press, right? So
I wouldn't have known about this
Yeah.
if this hadn't blown up like this, and I'm actually really intrigued now.
I
kinda
am
wanna
super
play
intrigued.
it.
And
It
honestly,
looks cool.
I love Zelda. I love games like Zelda. So you know what? Whatever, bring it on. As long as you're not actually reusing assets that Nintendo made.
And is it only on PS4? This Genshin Impact?
So Genshin Impact right now is PC and PS4 right
Okay.
now. And
And we
Decay
don't
of-
even know if it's coming to the West.
we don't.
Yeah.
Who knows? But they have a whole website in English.
Yeah,
So why would
probably.
they be going through the effort of doing that?
Especially now
Yeah.
that we've covered it.
And Decay of Logos is coming out on the Switch on the 29th. So if you're interested in that, I mean, I want to get it. I think it's really cool. It's like kind of up my alley, and I want a big white elk pet. So
But if it's a clone, we'll break our PS4s, right?
yes,
Yes.
absolutely not. And I gotta play Monster Hunter, man.
Oh, that's right.
So this morning, another Pokemon trailer dropped.
Hooray!
With a ton of tweets from the Pokemon Company, all about things that were not in the trailer. So if you want to get your real news, you should follow Pokemon on Twitter because the trailer didn't have everything in there. But let's start out with the most important part, and that is the new Pokemon. So I think the newest of the new Pokemon is called Morpeko, and this is the new Pikachu-like of this generation, except it has a twist. So it is called the two-sided Pokemon, and its ability is called Hunger Switch, and it is constantly hungry because it's generating so much energy from the electricity. So every turn, it will switch its form into the Hangry form, which
Hangry form.
Hangry.
Go
It's
on.
an electric dark type.
That is an official thing in a Pokemon game.
Yes.
The hangry form.
It becomes hangry. Yes.
And do people know what hangry means?
Yeah. Hangry
Angry,
mode.
hungry.
Do you,
Yeah.
Hungry, angry. When
do
you're
you-
so hungry, you get angry.
You guys should look at this thing. It like instead of turning in from like a cute like yellow like side by side cute mouse Pokemon thing, it turns into like a really angry looking dark purple.
It's a demon.
Can it only use bite and like certain moves when it's angry?
So it actually has a move. It has a special move called Aura Wheel, and depending on which form it is, it changes the type of the move. So when it's in it's called full belly mode, it's an electric type, and when it's in hangry mode, it's a dark type.
I love it.
Wow. Have you ever thought about that Casey may be the Attenborough of the fake animal word? Like, meet the Morpeko. It has a hangry attack.
I would watch that show.
You know way too much about these creatures.
I read things and I do wiki stuff.
Wow.
Of course I would know. And they also introduced Galarian form Pokemon, which include the Galarian form Weezing, which is kind of like a Lola form if you guys played Sun and Moon, where these Pokemon have evolved differently because of the region that they grew up in. And the Galarian form Weezing is a poison fairy type that purifies the air, and then it expels clean air out of the stacks on its head. It looks very silly, but because it's basically an air filter, and because it's kind of extracting all of the pollution out of the air, pollution will aggregate around its body and become super poisonous, which is why it's both poison and fairy.
Wow, but this is like a reaction to. It feels like Pokemon Company is trying to take teenage angst over pollution away. You know, it's like, don't worry, there's a Pokemon that will absorb all that.
Yeah, it's fine. And then we have Zigzagoon and Linoon, which are now dark and normal type. And Tom, you had an interesting observation on those.
Tom?
Oh, well, I was
The
wrong.
star eye.
Though.
You're wrong? Okay,
Yeah,
just kidding.
but
Never mind.
no, they're. Somebody pointed out that they look exactly like Kiss.
Yeah.
They all have like
They do.
They're white and black with like one of the base form of it has like star makeup on its eyes, and then when it gets real big, it's like special Galar evolution, which is like only the
Yeah,
Galar
the
form.
Obstagoon, and it
Yeah.
has its tongue sticking out.
Yeah, it looks like a rock star.
Yeah.
Well, Kiss
He's-
is big in
wrong.
Japan, so maybe there's some inspiration there.
No,
Why were you wrong?
because I was saying that it was Zigzagoon Stardust.
Oh,
Like
like
Zig-
Ziggy Stardust?
Zigzagoon
Okay,
Stardust.
I see. I
Because it had
see.
stars on its eyes, but I was wrong. I got the wrong rocker.
Zigzagoon played guitar.
Were people really asking for a new form of Zigzagoon?
No, that's what I thought too, man.
Because the whole point of the Alolan forms is to give like older Pokemon that were sort of like lost in the shuffle with all the new ones in to give them like new life.
Oh.
Was there really a fight? Was someone really like, oh, I need Zigzagoon to be competitively viable again? Like,
Yeah,
Well,
I would
maybe it will
love to
be
know.
now.
I would love to know who at the Pokemon Company really loves Zigzagoon and was like, guys, I've got an idea. Let's bring it back.
Well, I think
it's time.
I think they just made a Pokemon to be the like base bad Pokemon that the bad team has, which is now called Team Yell. And if you watch the trailer, Team Yell all uses these Pokemon, and they look like scruffy punk rockers. And it's really funny because they are basically a toxic fan base for one of the rivals that is also trying to be the champion of the region. That's their entire storyline. They just follow this girl around and like are super mean to all of her rivals and anyone who tries to do the things that she's doing. And she will like try and calm them down, but you know, she's not always there to make them like not be mean. That's right. Like that's kind of like, oh wow, this is maybe we'll learn some lessons. Valuable lessons about how to treat people in the new Pokemon game.
Aw.
so all the old teams are trying to take over the world or something, and
These are just fanboys.
They're just fanboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it.
For Marnie, which is one of your new rivals, and I love her design so much. She's obviously Miranda is a huge fan. I think a ton of people kind of here. I'll bring up the picture for.
She's got like a pink dress with like a black
Oh
jacket.
gosh, who is
right?
what? No,
What is
Hitchcock.
No,
Come on.
Don't Google
Casey-
Marnie without
Casey,
Pokemon.
cover your eyes.
Well, it's
Miss?
Marnie
see
is
the
a
laptop.
Hitchcock movie with Sean Connery.
But this is Marnie, and you can see why people are adding Miranda now. It's very,
that's
it's like very girly style with a little bit of like goth.
It's on brand.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
on
very
brand.
on brand. I
Yeah,
think
that's
she's awesome.
That is as Miranda as those other games were Zelda. Like it is exactly the same.
Like, please pay us copyright. But
We have copyright?
no,
Okay.
copyright on Miranda's style.
Yeah.
Marnie's partner is Morpeko, which is that two-sided Pokemon that switches
Yep,
between
the
really
Hangry
cute
one.
and angry. So I'm wondering if that's saying something about Marnie's character.
Okay.
But I'm very excited to learn more about her, and I'm especially excited to see her appearance in the anime. I can't wait.
Yay. But the biggest news, come on.
What's the biggest news? Oh yeah, Pokemon have jobs now.
No.
No?
The team.
Team Yell.
I love Team Yell.
We already talked about that.
Oh yeah, but I love that's my favorite.
Team Yell?
Team Yell.
Because our other editor, Joshua Yell, shares their name.
Oh, that's Yale. I just love Team Yell. I want to be part of Team Yell.
And
We
it's,
are.
we were talking about how it's basically like
Soccer hooligans
like English
as
soccer
well.
hooligans, right? Like soccer fans, because they're theming. It's Galar is based on
Mm-hmm.
England, kind of loosely, right? And all the Pokemon gyms are
Soccer
look like
stadiums.
soccer stadiums, and so all of the trainers are like these soccer stars, pretty much is the way they theme it, and so. They're just soccer hooligans. They're just angry soccer hooligans who are a fan of their team, which is Marnie. And so they're just like yelling and they'll beat up the other fans. Like, that's basically what it is. I love it.
I am too. I'm very excited, and there is also a new rival called, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. I think it's Beatty. It's Bede. I haven't heard anyone say the name out loud yet, so I guess we'll wait for
Beatty.
someone to talk about him. But he seems to have nefarious means. He was kind of what's the word? He was given approval to enter the championship based on Rose, who is Chairman Rose, who's another character that they revealed, who I also thought had nefarious background just from looking at him. And it says so in this guy's description that like he's not all good. So that's your other rival. So now you have two rivals, which is interesting. So I'm interested to learn more about those characters, and I'm very interested to learn how Pokejobs work, which is a whole new system to manage in Pokemon, where you send off your Pokemon to do jobs to gain experience. Yay, capitalism.
Your kids aren't or your Pokemon aren't kids anymore. They
Nope.
gotta go out in the workforce.
This definitely like this game has a message. It's
Yeah.
it's trying to teach kids something.
I mean, you were feeding them.
Can't
and
put
now
my
you're
finger
sending
on
them to
it.
work.
Yeah. Like, go work. Go help
work.
with that construction company.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Go
don't
be a
want to.
maid.
I don't want to dig into this too far because it's a whole can of worms to open. But like, yo, this Pokemon, just this trailer revealed, and the news revealed, yeah, giving Pokemon jobs, toxic fan base, literal global warming and air pollution comments. Like, anyone who says Pokemon's not political is literally just like absolutely wrong.
I guess we'll find out when it comes out in November.
They had an entire game about slavery. Like,
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Also, look
Wow.
out for a feature on Pokemon and the jobs they'd be best at coming out on IGN.com sometime this week.
That sounds frightening.
It absolutely is. Wait
Is
until
anybody
you read my
looking at it
entry
before
about
we publish it?
Gardevoir.
Oh, God.
Lucy is.
Oh my God.
Anyway, some other news.
Help.
I have things to say. Okay, other news. But I'm going to go through this really quick. The new standard Switch with the extended battery life is available now in some places. I'm not really sure where. This is reported by Game Explain, so just be on the lookout for the different SKU number. You know anything about this pair?
No, you just have to watch out
Yep.
because, like, as you know, obviously they're not pulling the first model from shelves, so you have to watch out. If you're in the market for a new Switch right now, just make sure that you don't get stuck with the older model because there's a huge difference in battery life.
There is, as I've experienced with Fire Emblem. I tried to enjoy the nice weather outside this weekend and played Fire Emblem on handheld mode, and my battery was dead in less than 2 hours.
It's a battery hog. I was playing it on the plane. I just kept it plugged into
Yeah.
my battery charger
Yeah.
in the end.
I was very surprised.
Anything that pushes a lot of 3D graphics just depletes your battery
It's
super fast.
Like Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate didn't even make my battery deplete that
No,
fast.
this is
Fire Emblem. So here's the funny thing is I am coming from Dragon Quest Builders 2. So Fire Emblem to me is like, oh, this is taking no battery. Because Dragon Quest Builders 2 will overheat your Switch and drain your battery in an hour and a half. Like it just destroys it. It's
oh
like,
wow.
Dragon
I've
Quest
only
gets-
played it docked.
I really like Dragon Quest.
It's
I'm not
really
hating
good.
The game itself.
same.
I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gives me genuine concern about what that game is. If it is damaging the Switch long term, with how
Wow.
hot the system gets, it's very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. It's frustrating that this is a not insignificant upgrade, and they're not just like I wish there
Marking
was
it like a
something
sticker.
like a sticker or like some
Now
sort of
with
like,
more battery.
Yeah,
That's not gonna push sales. No one.
It's,
Or at least I wish
yeah.
there was like a full, like a more kind of clear rollout when you knew you were gonna get one. I don't know. It just is like it seems like it's kind of mean, and
There
it's a
is-
very short term problem
It-
because eventually the old ones will get out of cycle and you'll just get a new one. But
It is. I mean, if anybody here gets the new one, you see any differences in packaging, anything that makes it a little bit easier to spot, tell us. I'm gonna buy the the Disney Special Edition Switch when I'm in Japan next month.
Yeah.
So I know that one hasn't been made yet, which means it is definitely like you're able to tell this edition is different from the others, so you know it's going to be upgraded. I hope they're not recycling the old.
Oh man, I guess we'll find out.
They got a
He's so
warehouse
sad.
of old Switches that they just got to get rid of.
I'll bring it back.
Yeah. And also, we've learned that Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition is announced for Switch. It's coming out on September 26th.
Mm-hmm.
And what? Okay, I was like, you're making a face, Tom. You're
I
fine.
am.
Why?
Why do people do this to the word definitive?
Definitive.
Remastered and there was the remastered edition
Oh, yeah.
of
Because
Red
people
Faction.
like puns.
Do they?
Puns are
Puns are
funny,
fun.
I
Tom.
want to know. I want to see the sales data about does a pun in your definitive edition sell you more copies of that game?
You
I
heard it,
want
audience.
to know
Please
that
deliver
info.
us the data.
Please.
And while you're at it, you can play Mario Tennis Aces for free between August 7th and August 13th. Only for Switch Online subscribers. And your save data will carry over if you purchase by the 20th. So you can start the game. And
That's nice.
It's a good game. If you haven't ever played it, it's a really solid game.
I was so hyped for that game, and I was like,
Yep.
I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna have
But you hated
everyone
it.
over, and then no one.
Nobody came.
Yeah, no.
Because it's tennis.
Yeah.
It's tennis, and you have Smash.
I played Mario Tennis a lot on my 64.
Uh-huh.
My
But nothing
64.
else was out. That's the issue. I feel like this game released in a pretty crowded field overall still. I liked it. I thought it was good. Tina really loves it. She talked about it a bit on GameScoop last week.
Okay.
So she really likes Mario Tennis.
I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of fun, and I am going to check it out. I mean, it's free. Like, why not?
It's good.
It's hard to be beat free.
Yeah.
I can lend you my copy too.
Okay. And then we haven't heard about this next game since around 2008, but there's a new Cooking Mama being rated for the Switch.
Hooray!
We know literally nothing else about this.
I love
don't need to know
Cooking
anything
Mama.
else.
Not
I mean,
better
I know
than
Cooking
Mama.
Mama. I played Cooking Mama on the DS, but nothing about a Switch.
I have a Cooking Mama apron at home. When I'm cooking, I'm wearing a Cooking Mama apron.
You have to take a picture.
I have taken pictures. They're legendary.
Legendary pair pictures
not.
and Cooking Mama.
No, they're on my
aprons.
Facebook page.
Coming soon.
No, I love that franchise. If you haven't played it, it's like the most peaceful, simple franchise. It's evolved a little bit, but you're literally just putting ingredients together and stirring them for the right time. And it's got this kind of it's very English. The whole the translation kind of preserves the Japanese mama accent and all of that. It's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If you do real good, she goes even better than Mama.
better than mama. Yep, that's right.
Funny enough, they also announced a new Cook Serve Delicious this week, which is, if you guys know that game, they announced Cook Serve Delicious 3, which is like Cooking Mama, but like a little bit more realistic.
Okay.
It's not as cartoony.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm less interested.
Yeah,
I like my cartoon
no,
mama.
Totally fair enough.
No, I think the cool thing about Cooking Mama is like some of the tactile stuff they can do with the 3D Rumble. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the Switch. I hope they do something special.
Yeah.
It's not just a port.
And the Dragon Quest XI-S is getting a demo in Japan. No word on the West yet, but be on the lookout for it just in case. And we're Steam World Quest is getting a 2.0 update. So you'll get a new game plus after beating the story and a super hard legend remix difficulty, which will add twists to the gameplay, which will only be available in New Game Plus. And there's also a bunch of balancing tweaks, HD Rumble Edition, and other small improvements to the game.
Yeah.
And I know that we all enjoyed it.
It was a good game.
Yeah, it was a
I
good-
really enjoyed it.
Good deck building game.
Yeah.
It's also a real good candidate for a New Game Plus because there's way more, unless you're grinding a lot, there's way more cards than you can use in any given run. So New Game Plus is a great way to just like go through and try different strategies and do things.
So you keep all the cards that you collected
Right.
and just kind of play through it again.
Yeah.
So guys, there's some games out this week, including Guacamelee 1-2 Punch Collection is out on the 6th for $40.
Yeah.
Great game collection.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of fans here. I know Brian is super into Guacamelee.
If you like Metroid and chickens.
Real quick question. I don't want to sidetrack new games too much, but $40 is kind of expensive for these two games. I mean,
Isn't that
phenomenal
always the
games.
comment we have on all the Switch games?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
How much do they
You're
cost
right.
now? Because Guacamelee 1 came out a while ago.
Guacamelee 1, I think, is fairly cheap. Guacamelee 2, I'm not sure, actually.
I feel like they
Probably
go on
29.
sale all the time.
They do, but they usually don't. They might not go on sale on Switch. They go on sale on like Steam, and that's worth like a lot. But yeah, Guacamelee 1 and 2, if you haven't played either of them, are definitely worth this price. They're both phenomenal games, and one holds up a lot.
Can't
I
find the
can't-
price.
I can't find the price.
It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Yep. So
DC
noted
Universe
it's-
Online is coming out on the 6th as well. It is free to play. So
That's
check
a
it out.
better price.
Yeah, that's the best price. Free to play. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess you'll find out if you play it because it's free. Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition is out on the 8th for $50.
Great.
I
game.
haven't played it.
That's a very Marxian game.
I'm actually not a huge CRPG kind of guy, but if you're into isometric top-down Western RPGs, like party-based RPGs, like the Baldur's Gate style stuff, you'll be into this, and it's just a really, really good one. Hopefully, this means that they're bringing the sequel over as well too.
So it's more like Diablo.
Yes. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I played
Yep.
Pillars. I believe it's real time with pause is what they call it, right? So you get into a fight and you can pause, and then you just kind of set actions and you unpause and you start doing things. You can play in real time if you want, but generally you're kind of making strategies.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then we have Pix a Cat out on the 8th, which is like an arcade-like game where you play as a cat that has to save ducklings in a maze-like environment.
Of course.
Pix the Cat is like an old school PlayStation downloadable game. It was on Vita in like 2015.
Oh my god.
And it's finally coming to Switch, and it's like
Only
it's actually
$10.
Yeah, it's just a really fun old arcadey game.
And we've also got Turok 2 Seeds of Evil out on the 9th for $20.
Oh man. So I played that game way back when it was struggling to run smoothly on the N64, and I'm assuming I haven't played this one yet, but on the Switch, I'm assuming they clean it up just like they cleaned up the first one.
Yep.
Where they pushed the fog back, they made it run smoothly. It might actually be a good game now. it suffers from the same problem as games like Halo, where there's a lot of like just big environments with not that much kind of uniqueness to them, so it's a little easy to get lost sometimes until you figure out which barrel to blow up. But it was a good game, and the multiplayer, the four-player split screen was great. It has this weapon called the Cerebral Bore, where you lock onto your enemy, and it shoots this little drill that is heat-seeking, and it goes into somebody's brain. It's very, very gross, but it was but it's a menace. It's such a great menacing idea for multiplayer where you're trying to avoid being locked on, and then you hear the thing coming. It's really good.
That
It's
sounds
a fun
like a lot
mod.
of fun.
Yep.
So, hey guys, what's everyone playing?
Tom.
Fire Emblem,
Oh,
mostly.
Me too.
I've been playing lots of Monster Hunter World also, but I won't talk about that. Fire Emblem is mostly what I've been playing.
it's so good. It really, really is good.
I'm so jealous. I downloaded the game, but I still have not started it.
It's too
I
much
just-
talking for you.
Yeah, no.
Well, you said Genshin Impact was too anime, so why
Yeah.
are you getting Fire
I
Emblem?
like Fire Emblem. Well, I like the gameplay. I do not care about making relationships.
Okay, then
with
you're
everyone.
screwed. You downloaded
yeah,
the wrong
You
game.
can automate all that stuff.
I mean,
can't.
if the battles are good enough, I can just ignore all that.
So it definitely is the talkingest game in the franchise. It is, if you go back to older Fire Emblem games where the relationships management was mostly on the battlefield, where you have the right person talk to the right person in order for them to join your team, all of that now is its own game set in this this castle environment, this school. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of relationship building. Yes, you can automate, but it is not a pure strategy game. I was worried about that. I'm loving it. I think it's really, really cool. I love you get a real feel for the characters in it, and it's a little bit on the easy side.
Yeah.
I don't remember Fire Emblem ever being this easy on hard.
So maybe play on hard in classic mode.
Definitely do hard and permadeath
Yeah, that's what
if you've played Fire Emblem before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just so desperate for a Fire Emblem game that I don't care if I have to talk to some tweens about I don't even know what they do in that game.
Yeah,
Like,
they all have awesome names like Gustav von Vonderstadt.
Yeah.
It's
figure
great.
out if they sweet or savory food, so they'll join my team. I'll deal with all that just
Yeah.
to get another Fire Emblem.
You can use our guide. We have a really good strategy guide for it that tells you who lost the handkerchief and all of that. You can figure out who lost what item. But again, a lot of that stuff is optional. You don't have to do the exploration stuff. Sometimes you do, but in general, you can focus more on combat. But you're missing out on the character building is really good.
It is.
It's such a fun game.
I am loving
Yeah.
Fire Emblem so much, way more than I thought I would. I don't know why. I guess there's a good reason I was interested in it. I didn't think it would suck me in this much. Assuming Iceborne is an expansion, it's not a game, so not its own game. Right now, Fire Emblem Three Houses is my game of the year.
Wow.
As of right now.
Yeah.
I'm still even only like 25 hours in, and I just
Yeah.
really like it.
If you're totally into just the strategy part of the games, I would say stick with like Shadows of Valentia or something, like bring out your 3DS. But no, this is like, for all the criticism that game companies sometimes get when they iterate on their titles and create a sequel, this has so much stuff in it. They thought about like the relationship stuff and they built it out into something really meaningful. And it's just really fun. Like, I can't stop playing it. I want to keep on playing it. But I'm also playing a couple of other games.
Like Picross.
I always have to look up the name. Picross, Lord of the Nazarick. I am playing it. So that means I now have 5 Picross games made by Jupiter on my Switch. I want to take a picture where I have them all lined up. Picross S1, S2, S3, and then, the weird little furry girls one. I forgot what it was called.
What
Do
now?
you remember that word? Oh, wait,
fine.
that one.
I have to look it up.
I don't know what it's
No
called.
one asked for this.
I'm not up on my Japan animation. Come on.
Gotta wait for the Joy-Con to wake up.
It was Kemono Friends.
Oh,
Beast Friends,
I know.
Kemono Friends.
Okay,
Yeah, you
I
know
what
that
you're
anime?
talking. Yeah, I haven't watched it. It's
So Nazarick is in a way it's the best Picross production value wise. It has it has cutscenes with text and cool character art and all that. It has fewer puzzles than most of them. They kind of spec'd it down, but it's a really nice game for somebody who's played Picross before because they don't make you wade through like oodles of tiny little grid puzzles. They have, they go for some of the bigger ones. They have, a lot of the color ones in there. They've got the ones where you assemble bigger pictures, that mode. It's good. It's like, if you want to start with any Picross game, you might as well start with this one because Picross S3 has more puzzles, but it's very generic, right? The look of it is very clean. This one has a little bit more character. But no, the game I really wanted to talk about was Tiny Metal, Full Metal Rumble. So Tiny Metal came out on the Switch a while ago. Speaking of clones, it is Advance Wars. They took Advance Wars
stop.
down to most of the units. So they have they have the little guy with a rocket launcher. They have the little soldier. Rocket launcher guy is good against tanks. They have the tanks. They have the transport units. They have the helicopters. They have the jets, and the jets are strong against the helicopters. The exact same unit setup. But it is an homage. We haven't gotten a new Advance Wars game in a while. They made it 3D, so you can now fully rotate the camera. The first one, I think it was just kind of locked, but also like isometric. They now have, when you move units, it draws an arrow. So they really refined the interface and balanced things. And they have this new... They have a couple of new abilities that weren't in Advance Wars. Like if you attack a soldier trying to take over a city, you can now push them. There's a mode where you do less damage, but you push them and take their place. You can team up with multiple units, and only one can get hit by return fire. They have a new map mode that you can explore. It's good. It's a really good game. It's a little blurry looking, like some of the 3D adaptations. I think Fire Emblem suffers from the maps not being as legible as the 2D ones, right? Because you used to see the character sideways. Has that same issue, and it looks a little blurry, and the colors smear a little bit. But you get used to it. It's if you don't have if you're not getting an Advance Wars game, if you're not into Wargroove, which was a great game, give this one a look. I'm really liking it so far.
That's good to hear.
They put a lot of work into it. It's made by a Japanese team, and they say, we love Advance Wars. We think we added things beyond Advance Wars to it, and it's true.
And there is a demo available, right?
There's a free demo, so try it out.
Right.
See if you like it.
Emeka, what are you playing?
I know you're excited about this. I am playing Monster Hunter on Switch. So yeah, I had never played a Monster Hunter game, and then I played Iceborne at E3.
Yeah.
And I was like super into it. I was like I convinced a bunch of people to buy the game. I remember at the E3 party, I was like just making small talk with Casey. I was like, Casey, I played that new Fire Emblem game. I think it's really cool. Just like making small talk, and Casey just looked at me and she was like, let me tell you everything about
Monster Hunter.
About
You
Monster
were
Hunter.
screwed, yeah.
Yeah, and then she just went on and on about Monster Hunter, about like, okay, this is the class you need. These are the weapons you need. So I like to use the longsword, but actually in some monsters I like to use the hammer. Now see, the hammer is and I was like,
I had at least 2 drinks by that time.
What's your favorite monster in Monster Hunter?
Nargacuga?
What?
Nargacuga?
Witness
The fact that you even know their names. There are like 90 of them, and they're all just like.
I've had more than a decade to learn them all.
Wow.
So yeah, like I
said that was amazing.
So yeah, like I convinced a number of friends to buy the game, and then I just didn't play it. So yeah, like I downloaded.
I sent him a stream that I did to watch to learn how to play this game.
It did not help. I watched like half of it. And I was like, whatever.
I'm
So
sorry.
this is Generations Ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Generations Ultimate. So yeah,
And you digging it?
yeah. So like so like I said, I downloaded Fire Emblem. I was about to turn it on, and I was like, okay, no, Emeka, let's play some Monster Hunter. You made a bunch of people spend money. You
I
gotta
agree with your decision.
Okay.
yeah. So I did all the 1-star missions. I finally found all the ferns. Like that's what really killed it because I thought that was really boring. I thought it was just monsters and nothing else. But yeah, I finally get that it's actually teaching me to do all the little things that I have to do to, like combine, different things to make potions, to make fighting the monster easier. So I'm like, okay, this is a slow burn. It's not just going straight into the monsters. I'm not at the point in which I love it yet, but I accept it. I accept the pace that it's taking me, and I'm just looking forward to it getting exciting.
And Generations Ultimate is also one of those games that if you play in multiplayer, like in the multiplayer hub, it eliminates a lot of those gathering quests so that you're only doing hunting quests in multiplayer, but then you suffer from not unlocking the things in single player. But like I just dealt with it and got to G rank in just multiplayer, and my single player like progression is still like the 3-star level. But it's fine. I don't need to unlock everything. It's like, whatever. I don't need food.
I want to hear what you think. I hope you will get some time in with Fire Emblem. I want to hear what you think.
I'm very curious.
Like I just have a feeling it's not going to be your thing.
Wait, Monster Hunter or Fire?
Fire
Emblem.
Emblem.
Fire Emblem. Well, yeah, we'll see. It depends on how much talky and how much fighty.
There's a lot of talky.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, there are a lot of lovers and not fighters in that game.
I have my Switch. I will play Monster Hunter with you guys.
No, you won't play with us. You will carry us. There's a difference.
Okay, I will
Do that.
carry you and simultaneously teach you how to carry yourselves.
Yeah, we will run around in circles doing nothing, and you can fight the monster.
There you go.
But we get all the loot.
I mean, that's how it works.
Okay, then.
Just don't die, and then you're good. So, guys, we have one question for question block because we are almost out of time. Actually, we are, but we're doing it anyway. I hope that's okay. Yeah?
Sure.
We're in it for the long haul.
All right.
We're
you're in
here.
it. So this is from Billy Van Bogart from our Facebook.
That's a Fire Emblem name.
It is.
Hello, I'm William Van Bogart.
And this is from
the Blue
our
Lines.
NVC forum podcast, NVC podcast forums on Facebook. And he asked, has the experimental, crazy, and kind of weird Nintendo software died with the Wii U? Basically, so the failure of the Wii U made Nintendo desperate, leading the company to make kind of experimental software to try and gain traction again. So they made stuff like Captain Toad and Mario Maker and Splatoon that was just very different and off the wall from what they were used to making. So it was the success of the Switch no longer forcing Nintendo to be as strange and experimental.
I would immediately counter with ARMS.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
'cause, I mean, they haven't really gone into that and supported that since, but they definitely kept trying to be weird with the Switch.
Yeah, I don't think they're done being weird. Just think of Labo. Just think of, taking your Joy-Con and pretending to be eating a sandwich. Remember all that? Now, obviously, some of those games didn't do that well, and that may, squash their desire to be as crazy as they were maybe in the WarioWare age. But I think they built plenty of little bells and whistles into these Joy-Con and the Switch in general that I think we'll see some whack stuff from them.
Also, they're like remaking Link's Awakening with like a toy aesthetic is like, I feel like that alone is a like very weird thing for Nintendo to do. And I'm into it. I'm glad they're doing that too.
Yeah, I didn't own a Wii U, so I don't really know that library too well. But it seems like there are enough indie games on the Switch that it can fill some of those gaps for weirdness.
Yeah.
And again, just for example, like, Nintendo hasn't made a Fire Emblem game, but then you have War Group to fill that space. So I feel like, they're just letting the indies handle all the weird stuff while they just do the traditional, Smash, Zelda, etc.
snipper clips, 1-2 switch, right? Like at the very start of the system, they had some weird stuff. I don't think they're done using the IR sensor. Like something strange is going to come out. They can't resist, using that stuff.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And this will be a quick one, from John Despabiladeras asked, do you think there's a chance for Three Houses to be considered for Game of the Year 2019 nominee?
I think you answered that.
Yeah, I think I did too, because it's one of mine, and I know for a fact that Brendan Graeber will fight for it to be on that
What
list.
else came out this year so far? What's
in
in the running?
So the short
Slay the
list for
Spire?
stuff is kind of Slay the Spire is definitely on my short list.
Slay the Spire is up there.
I think it's on
the other
Damon's
short list
too.
is like Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh, that's right. That was this year.
Sekiro. Some people have Devil May Cry 5 up
Yep.
there, but honestly, there's not a lot of crazy hits this year yet. I mean, it hasn't been a bad year, but there just haven't been a lot of breakouts.
Yeah. When's Death Stranding coming out?
November?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, there's still some heavy hitters left to come. We'll get a Pokemon game. We'll get Luigi's Mansion. I think it could be considered. Like Awakening, I feel like was a Game of the Year contender in my book. And I'm happy more and more people played Fire Emblem, because that franchise was kind of like racing games, right? Where like you could get an amazing racing game like a Forza Horizon, and it wouldn't make it into like the top 10 Game of the Year titles because not that many people were into the genre. And Fire Emblem, I think, suffered from that a bit. Turn-based strategy is not the hottest genre now, but like I think a lot of people are playing this one. And I think it's the convenience of the Switch, but also the pedigree of that franchise, and then just people seeing all the stuff that they added on top of the turn-based stuff. I think it'll absolutely be in the running.
I also think the success of Persona recently kind of pushed it into more visibility as well, because a lot of people who like Persona are like, oh, you might like this too. And I completely get that as a Persona 5 fan.
Yeah, it's kind of like remember, dating sims were a huge genre in Japan and never made it across the pond here. But like little elements like that have been integrated in games, and people in the West are going, "Oh, I really like this stuff."
I
right?
love it.
Yeah.
It's like Otome, but with better gameplay.
It's funny too, because before I played Fire Emblem, I was like, oh yeah, this is looking a lot like it's borrowing things from Persona. And now that I'm playing it, I'm like, oh man, this is borrowing a lot of stuff from Valkyria Chronicles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the pace of the story and the like melodrama behind that sort of thing is something I really love about Valkyria Chronicles, and they're definitely bringing some of those lessons into this.
And then it's very Harry Potter, right? Like the whole setup and how like the students are put in peril and all of that. It's in the houses, obviously.
But is the battling good?
Yes.
Battling is very
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah,
Battling
it's
is
really
Battling
good.
is good, but again, it's a little on the easy side.
play on hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like if you play on normal, I think you can grind more, right? Like I haven't tried normal yet.
Yeah, normal. I didn't.
You can.
Normal has like missions sometimes where you can just play them forever, infinitely,
repeat
and
them.
they're not like super hard, but they'll just like you just do them forever.
Start anyone who plays this game. Start on hard if you've played Fire Emblem before. You can always drop it down to normal if you run into chop, but it's so forgiving. You can rewind time when you lose a unit. It's there's
To any point in the entire battle.
Yeah, they made it so that
Your
nobody
Emeka's
will be
face right
frustrated.
now.
I'm like,
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
I'm not doing that.
You don't have to do it.
Yeah, I'm
I
just gonna
kind of
go.
regret not starting on hard.
I do
to be
too.
honest,
I
'cause
just
I would want to bump it up right now, and I could have bumped it down. Like
You just have to be a little bit more careful when you're playing hard. But again, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, even on normal, the AI will focus and target your weakest character. So it's not, they're not like totally stupid. It's just they don't hit as hard, and your characters are just, if you're at the same level, you're probably going to be stronger than them.
Yeah.
Okay, I just unhooked
Did
the
you
cable.
unplug
And
yourself? You're done?
I thought I broke something. It's just the laptop.
Magnetic.
I think it's about time to end the show.
It's about time to end the show. Yeah, we're all out of time. Thank you so much for watching and or listening to MVC. Remember, you can catch us every Thursday at 3 p.m. on IGN.com, YouTube.com, or your favorite podcasting platform. Emeka, where can they find you?
On Twitter. I'm at
On Twitter.
Yeah,
No,
it's
where
the
can
first
they
time I've had to
find
do
you?
this. At Don Mecca, DON_MEKA.
Is this button broken? Okay, the button's broken. I tried to get our names up, but it's not working. Tom, where can they find you on Twitter?
At Tom R. Marks.
And what about you, Pear?
Pair IGN.
And as always, you can find me at ShinyKCD on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching, and this is the only place you can.
Get the thing.